Hey there, in the shop today with my Case 448 garden tractor. Made a video before about my sleeve hitch I got for this last year. For those unfamiliar with the Case's sleeve hitch, it's basically just an attachment that allows me to put on different implements. Allows me to raise and lower using just the hydraulic mechanism on my tractor that's built in. It's really the same lever that you'd use if you had a lawnmower on here or you had your snowblower hooked up. It would be the same mechanism that raises and lowers that. It's just going to be in the back. And I'm just going to attach anything that has this kind of attachment, just with 2 pins here, and it'll just raise that up and down. So what that lets me do is just raise and lower any type of attachment that has this type of hookup of these dual pins, or sometimes you'll see one that just has a single pin in the middle. I've also got a cultivator, which I made a video on too, which explains the sleeve hitch in pretty great detail. So go ahead and check that out if you're looking for more information on that. What I wanted to talk about today was kind of this new thing I rigged up. It's a drag for my driveway to take over the gravel and just kind of loosen that up, and even it out, and get filled in any holes or divots or things like that after the winter. So this unit, everything you see here, kind of in the black metal, this is something that I just bought online on Amazon. And it actually is a driveway drag to you just pull behind your tractor. What it came with originally was a hitch like this. So just a long piece of metal tubing. And that would actually go right here where I've kind of modified things. You could just drag it along just with the regular hitch on your tractor. So while the original setup was nice, there were some disadvantages. Mainly being it was hard to turn around in tight spaces when you got this dragging behind you. This is a few feet long, and then you've got another few feet behind this. So if it was kind of in a corner or something like that, it was hard to turn around. So once I got this sleeve hitch, I got the idea to rig up something a little bit different that I'm hoping here is going to work a little bit better. So the idea behind this driveway drag is that it basically has 2 points of contact with the ground. This whole front bar here, and then this back bar here. So this kind of digs in a little bit, and then it kind of, the back picks it up and it'll spread it out, and hopefully get it nice and even across your driveway. These 2 cross members here, so that's for sitting on concrete blocks. So it's just wide enough to set one cinder block on there, and that's gonna give you weight to push down as you're going. So essentially what I did here, I got to thinking, how could I create an implement that I could, still drag my driveway, but also be able to pick it up, kind of back up with it actually, and then go into tight corners and kind of drag more gravel out, because I do have kind of some nooks and crannies on my driveway where I'd like people to do things like that. So what I've got going right here, if you see this threaded piece, this is what they actually call a bolt hook. It's actually part of like a gate hardware, I think. But what it is basically just this heavy duty long bolt here, and then there's a 90-degree bend. That's this piece here, and then there's just a little stub coming off this way that's actually comes unthreaded to begin with. I had to thread that. I think it was like a 3/4 inch thread I had to put on that. So basically I just have these 2 eye hooks coming in from either side. That's holding that in place there. These are being held in on either side here. And then I added this piece on here. This is just like kind of a connector for threaded pieces. So that's all that's doing is just kind of holding this in place further, so it can't pivot around within these 2 uprights that come on this drag. So that's how that bottom part's all held together, and then this comes up through this piece here. This is a piece I got with my sleeve hitch. So basically what you would do normally is just put like a ball hitch in here, and then you can move a trailer around or something with your garden tractor. So typically this would actually be flipped the other way, and this would be dropping down instead of rising up for your ball hitch. But I just basically flip this around and use this as my attachment point onto my sleeve hitch for this implement. So the threads you see all the way up here, down from the bottom way up to here, that's all part of that bolt hook. And then at the top I have another connector for these threaded pieces, and then I've got this big eye hook up here. And what that does is connects to these chains. I drilled a couple holes in the back to put some more eye hooks through there. So basically what this chain does is as the sleeve hitch moves up and down, it just allows the back end to move up and down with it. So that's kind of always held in place by these chains at this fixed distance. So after multiple tries, this is kind of what I came up with as my final prototype to try out. Seems to move up and down pretty well. The only thing I'm really concerned about is this does have a tendency up in the air to sway back and forth. It does stay up in the air, but it just does, it can sway back and forth if you're turning sharp or something like that, which isn't a huge deal as long as you're going slow and things like that, but it can actually come around and just rub up against your back tire there. So I would kind of like to figure something out there, maybe on the 2.0 version to get that, something to prevent that from swaying back and forth, but I'm going to live with that for right now. So when I had the original setup here with the tongue and everything, and it was just a free-flowing drag on the ground, I could really put up to 4, maybe even 5 if I wanted to squeeze another one on cinder blocks here. I really found I can't do that. Obviously, there's a lot of weight here. I don't want to put too much weight on the sleeve hitch. I think 1 is probably about enough. So one added benefit of having the sleeve hitch hooked up instead of just having it free flowing behind the tractor is that you're going to actually get to have some downward pressure on the ground just using your lever and your hydraulic system. So if I push that down, I can actually push this down into the ground, at least the front of it, good enough so where I don't need a cinder block in front. Probably do still need one in the back, but I think that's just an okay amount of weight for this right now.
So taking this out on the driveway, it did actually work pretty well. I tried it with 1 and 2 cinder blocks. Seemed to be a pretty good amount of weight with either. Even the 1 held the back end down pretty good. Like I mentioned, the front end was held down pretty nicely by the force of the sleeve hitch and the hydraulics. So it's really just the back at this point that I need to worry about for the weight. Really the only issue, which is kind of more of an issue of the driveway drag in general and not specific to the sleeve hitch design, is that the cinder blocks fall off. Of course, you could just strap those down with a bungee, but it would be nice to kind of have some kind of permanent weight on there, just so those don't just fly off. So overall, pretty satisfied with how this thing has turned out so far. Definitely still in the prototype stage here, and wanted to kind of evolve this to the next level to make it a little bit better. I think my 2 biggest areas of focus are going to be, first of all, the weight problem. I'd like to find something a little bit more permanent, like I mentioned, on the back of that drag, just so I don't have to deal with the cinder blocks, carrying them around the yard, putting them on the drag, things like that, trying to strap them down and keep them on there. So just find something a little bit more permanent there in kind of version 2.0, and then eventually I'd like to also kind of focus on the over-engineered design of attaching this to the sleeve hitch. A lot of little bits and pieces going into it, so hoping to find a kind of a more elegant way to get that attached in the future. Kind of take some of the complexity out of it. So if you enjoyed the video, watch this space, stay tuned, and I hope to post some more videos on the progression of this project very soon. Thanks for watching.